I still remember the sound of the rain that night. The lake outside our cabin was black glass, and Aidan's reflection flickered in the window beside mine. Too close, too quiet. We shouldn't have been there alone. He was my best friend's older brother, and for years we'd kept a careful distance. But the storm had other plans. Something changed that night. A look, a breath, a silence that stretched too long. His hand brushed mine once, then didn't pull away. That was the moment everything shifted. The moment I realized wanting him was the one rule I couldn't follow. The cabin creaked like it was holding its breath. Outside, the lake shimmered under pale moonlight, each ripple catching the reflection of the storm clouds passing above. Aidan leaned against the counter, arms crossed, sleeves pushed his elbows, calm, like always. I wasn't. The rain had forced us to stay an extra night. 2 rooms, 1 soaked car, and a single fire that barely warmed the chill between us. Sometimes it's not the silence that scares you. It's how much you start to crave it when he's standing in it with you. He looked up, catching me staring. "Something on your mind?" he asked, voice low, rough from disuse. I shrugged, too quickly, just thinking about getting home. His smirk was almost invisible. "You've said that 3 times. You sure that's all you're thinking about?" I wanted to answer. I wanted to tell him that being here with him was making my heart beat too loud, but I just turned away and focused on the fire. You can lie with your mouth, but never with your pulse. Aidan walked closer. I heard the soft thud of his boots on the wooden floor, the subtle drag of his breath as he stopped just behind me. "Cold," he murmured. "Yeah, I lied." His hand brushed my shoulder, just enough to feel the warmth of his skin through my shirt. I froze, not because I wanted to move, but because I didn't. It's terrifying how comfort can feel like danger when it's coming from the wrong person. He sat beside me on the couch, close enough that the edge of his knee grazed mine. I could feel the heat, the quiet rhythm of his breathing. We didn't speak for a while, just the sound of the fire crackling and the lake tapping against the glass. Then he said softly, "You always fidget when you're nervous." That made me laugh, or try to. "You remember that?" He looked at me then, and it wasn't the look of someone remembering. It was someone seeing. Sometimes one look can undo years of pretending. Aidan leaned back, his eyes still on me. "Why'd you really come up here?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "You invited me." "I did," he said, "but you said yes." There was the shift in the air again, the quiet truth sitting between us like a secret we both already knew. I turned toward the window, toward the reflection of us. 2 silhouettes in a storm outside that refused to end. Some storms don't happen outside. They happen in the space between 2 people trying not to touch. He reached out then, his hand resting gently over mine. Just a second, maybe less, but long enough for my body to forget how to breathe. "You don't have to keep pretending," he whispered. I didn't know what to say. My throat tightened, and every word I want to say, every don't, every stop, every please, felt like a lie. And when I finally looked at him, really looked, I realized his lips were closer than I ever expected. The distance between us wasn't even a breath anymore. You can prepare for everything, except the moment he finally stops pretending to. The storm had finally passed. Morning sunlight spilled across the cabin floor, cutting through the shadows of last night. Aidan was still asleep on the couch, one arm draped over back, face relaxed in a way that made my chest ache. I couldn't move. Not yet. Not until the moment felt safe enough to breathe again. Because last night had changed everything. A hand brushing mine. The warmth of him so close, the way his eyes had caught mine. It wasn't just a moment. It was a shift, one that neither of us had planned. And now, in the calm of morning, I realized the silence was louder than any words could be. He stirred, hair falling into his eyes, and blinked up at me. "Morning," he said softly, voice rough from sleep. "Morning," I whispered back. We didn't speak. Not immediately. The space between us was heavy, but not uncomfortable, not quite. It was full of all the things we hadn't said, all the things last night had promised without words. He shifted closer on the couch, knees brushing mine, hands still resting near mine, but not touching. "You're quiet," he murmured. "Just thinking." I said. You thinking about last night? He asked, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My pulse betrayed me. The fire had died, leaving only smoldering embers. We sat in the golden morning light, and for the first time, I noticed everything. The curve of his jaw, the way his hoodie hung off one shoulder, the slight tremor in his hands. I didn't mean for anything to change, he said, voice low. You didn't. No, but it did. And it had. Everything had changed. Because now we weren't just friends. Not exactly. There was a tension in the air, electric and quiet all at once. I finally found the courage to move my hand closer to his. He let it happen, didn't flinch, didn't even look away. You're sure about this? I whispered. I've never been more sure about anything, he replied, eyes soft, steady, vulnerable. The distance between us disappeared. Not entirely, but enough to feel, enough to know that last night wasn't just a mistake, wasn't just a moment. It was the start of something neither of us could name, but both of us felt. We talked then, slowly, carefully, about everything and nothing, about the storm, the lake, the fire, the cabin. But really, it was about us, about all the years of pretending we didn't notice the pull, the longing, the moments that had always hung between our conversations. He reached out again, fingertips brushing mine. This feels right, he said. I nodded, unsure if words had ever matched the way my chest felt, the way my hand shook. Even in the morning light, the cabin felt warmer, not because of the fire, but because of him. For hours we sat like that, talking, laughing, sometimes in silence, sometimes leaning closer without even realizing it. Every glance, every small touch carried weight. I don't want to go back to pretending. I admitted. Neither do I, he said, voice quiet, almost reverent. And that was it. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have a promise. We just had the quiet understanding that last night had changed us. And that was enough for now. When it was finally time to leave the cabin, the lake outside gleamed like glass, reflecting the sky. We stood on the porch together, the cold biting lightly at our skin, but neither of us cared. I guess this is goodbye for now, I said. He shook his head. Not goodbye. Just see you soon. I smiled because it wasn't a lie. It was the kind of hope that doesn't need words, the kind that lives in glances, touches, and the space between two people finally acknowledging what's been there all along. As we walked back to the car, side by side, I realized something. Aidan's lips had been closer than I ever expected. But so had his heart. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly where I was meant to be. Not just his friend anymore. Not just a visitor in his life. But something more. Something delicate, complicated, and utterly ours.